Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Norquist, I appreciated your comments about a farm laborer doesn't necessarily remain one, and a chemical engineer doesn't necessarily remain one. I started out as a mechanical engineer and somehow ended up here, and you can make up your own mind as to whether or not that was progress. But as an engineer, I do know that STEM education is incredibly important to our economy, and that the next generation of STEM leaders will play a critical role in driving us forward in an increasingly global and competitive economy. I wondered if you could say a few words about the impact of immigration policies today that really force many of these U.S.-educated STEM graduates to return to their countries of origin rather than putting those skill sets to work here in the United States.
Absolutely. Look, a whole collection of people who used to be anti-immigrant are now pro-immigrant and pro-immigration reform, including Lou Dobbs, right? When he was on CNN, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, he complained about these immigrants coming into the country. And then on, so he said you should keep them out. And then the rest of the week, he complained about the outsourcing to the people we'd kept out, and which gave him Saturday off. But you know, if you tell a highly talented person you cannot come and be highly productive here in the United States, you have to do it someplace else, they don't, you know, quit working.
That's right.
They not only don't add to our economy and to all the success of us, but they go out and compete with us. And then people have to we need an engineer to do this. Well, there's one in India. Really? Yeah, the guy we wouldn't let in, right? He's doing it. So we outsource to them. Then people whine about outsourcing. You can avoid outsourcing by having talented people come and stay here, and STEM education is one way to target that. I mean, why in the world would you take all that lovely talent and somebody who wants to become an American and tell them to go live in France or something awful like that?
Especially when we contributed a great deal to the educational system that made that possible for them. So, yeah. Dr. Kugler, I was home last week in New Mexico and spent a great deal of time down on the southern border in Doña Ana County. Met with, got a chance to spend a lot of time with Border Patrol, a lot of time at the port of entry, which is very economically important, and a lot of time with a number of the immigration reform advocates in that part of the state. And many of the people I got a chance to meet with are DREAM Act students. They're students who came to the country not really by any choice that they made, but by choice that their parents made. Incredibly motivated, hardworking, not only want to make a better life for themselves, but really want to contribute to this country, the only country they really know as their home. A lot of them want to start businesses, be engineers or doctors or scientists. And I wondered if you could talk a little bit about the particular aspects of how including an expedited path for these students as part of an overall accountable immigration reform effort will impact our economy and not just the border region, but the entire country.
So these are the so-called dreamers. I think the fast track, so-called fast track, instead of giving them a 13-year window, but giving them the 5-year window makes a whole lot of sense. As you mentioned, these are people who are usually going to stay here no matter what. They're Americans for all practical purposes, and they will most likely become educated, continue to college, and contribute to the economy in all sorts of ways. There's some very good studies that have been done about the ripple effects and the increased earnings that they would gain once, again, they gain legal status. And this is the big issue, right? Once you give legal status to people, they're much more willing to make investments, not only into the education, but also in terms of creating businesses and to make long-term investments into their careers here in the US. So we know that there are actually big gains economically as taxpayers, as consumers, and this is money, again, that ripples through the economy. And there's some very good estimates on that end.